What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. It is a very happy Friday. Looking forward to this show. I can tell you right now, it is packed full of picks. And don't forget, after we do the official picks, we're going to get to some of the conference tournament stuff that we have been doing every single day this week. Super excited. Let's take a look at the recap screen from yesterday. Pretty good. A lot of check marks here. I go 1 for 2 in my golf plays, and I got to say, I am so disappointed Hideki Matsuyama didn't close out that first round lead. That looked like it was ours to have. Proppy 2-0 again. No surprise. Tom finally loses, but everybody else, including the SportsLine pick, which was courtesy of Buckets, that comes in as well. We love these 6-2 days. We're going to try to repeat it because I'll tell you right now, we have enough picks to go 6-2. I don't know, maybe 8-0. We'll have to wait and see. But you know, on Friday, we do things a little bit different. We pick up the injury just a scotch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Big Pick Energy Friday.
Woo! Let's go! Woo!
Oh, that is so good. Buckets, before I go to Chip, I got to go to you. You look like you have some memorabilia, some stuff behind you. What's going on with the P.O. box? Oh, he's on.
Oh, the mute
0 for 1.
It's a bad. Let's see if we can bounce back from that. The P.O. box has been great so far, minus a couple of packages that, again, we cannot talk about on the show. But I'm actually getting sports stuff, which makes me happy. I have whoever Sparky is. Someone sent me a Sparky bobblehead, so that's great. I've got
Works up, Arizona State. Let's go.
Sun Devils.
I've got a Michigan National Championship little plaque here, which is great in Columbus. That's what everyone wants. But we're starting to fill it up a little bit, which is nice.
Awesome. Prop Arky says, Mike's the GOAT reading the paper. Haha. All right. So here's the thing. I set this up, Chip. I've had my double espresso. You can tell I've got like a little bit of a scratchy voice. It's because I couldn't sleep after losing Hideki Matsuyama first round leader because Shane Lowry, who was 1 under on the front nine, decided to go birdie, birdie, eagle, birdie at the turn, stuck the landing on the 17th, which was super difficult, and stuck the landing in the fairway on the 18th. It was one of the worst first round leader losses I think I've had because it was so improbable from Shane Lowry. So you know what I need, Chip? I need a chip me up. You got anything?
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Sia, don't worry about it, buddy, because Shane Lowry, he's kind of got that Travis Kelce thing going on. You know, he's just vibes, right? He's just so much vibes. You can't stand in the way of that. But hey, I seen the recap screen at the end of this show. Loaded. I can't waste any more time. I'm not going to tell you about Jake Gensel going to the Hurricanes. Y'all hear that? Yeah, we're going to win the Stanley Cup. Now let's go.
Wow, Carolina. That goes against our Winnipeg Jets group pick that we had about a month ago. Listen, we'll have some hockey picks coming up as the playoffs approach, but we've got golf approaching like right here, right now. Golf is going on right now. We've got some afternoon matchups. Mike McClure and I have some plays today at the API. And Mike McClure, I'm going to start with you. You've got a head-to-head matchup, which I really like. What do you got?
Yes, yeah, we're going to go with Will Zalatoris minus 120 over Min Woo Lee. Now, look, I like both of these guys. We actually have outright tickets on both of them to win this event and top 20s, etc. Love both of them, have both of them in almost every DFS lineup. I think this is a good spot for Will Zalatoris, so I was very encouraged with what I saw there. As far as Min Woo Lee, he did everything in round 1 with the putter, not something that we expect to be repeatable. He ranks around 100th in strokes gained putting right now, not necessarily his strong suit. This is such a high variance matchup in general. If you were to open the golf dictionary and look up the word upside, there would be a picture of both of these two gentlemen. They are phenomenal golfers. They have so much upside, but a lot of downside as well. I think that the upside for Will Zalatoris is a little higher right now at this particular golf course in this setup. So I like Zalatoris. I think he's going to shoot way up the leaderboard, very much be in contention to win the entire event the rest of the way. So I like this price point over Min Woo Lee, who I did not like what I saw. Again, gaining 3 strokes in a round with the putter is not something we expect from Min Woo Lee.
Yeah, certainly not sustainable. And if you watch the early wedge, you know that I also like Will Zalatoris. Had him as a first-round leader. He had a rough start, but really came back. But I also have him as an outright, and I think he's very live as an outright. If you missed that bet, his live number, I think, is in that 20-ish to 1 range. I still think that's a decent number after round 1. So something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, Larry Bremner, he says, hit the like button. And I'll tell you this, if you want to make some bets, whether it's golf or the college basketball picks we have coming up, or Danny Brasco's UFC or Bucket Soccer, you can go to BetMGM. If you want to make these bets, that's where you go. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $5, and you will receive $150 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE150. That's EDGE150. All right. We got to get to some SportsLine picks. We got to get to some, like I said, soccer, UFC, college basketball, and of course, my golf picks. But before we do that, one quick message from our partners.
Out there are two colossal beings, both forces of nature in their own regard. But in here, as soon as the chute bursts open, the duality of man and beast begins to fade. This is PBR on CBS Sports Network.
Tell you what, Prop Stars is in the chat. Brooks is Mackenzie Brooks is in the chat. Kevin McKenzie, there's a lot of Mackenzies here. He says, can we take a moment to recognize that Prop Stars is like 7-1 in the last 2 days? #icon. Proppy, you might be able to reflect on what you've actually done the last 3 days, because I think it's even better than 7-1. But Kevin, thanks for calling that out. Proppy is such a bedrock of SportsLine, and he is just absolutely bringing it every day. And that's a really nice transition, Kevin, because we got a couple of SportsLine picks, and I believe they are courtesy of the man himself, Prop Stars. Dejounte Murray under 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists at -123. That's over on SportsLine because, of course, Proppy posted it when he got it. And Zion Williamson, I think Big Cheesy was on a Zion prop that he put in the chat earlier. Well, Proppy's got Zion Williamson over 26.5 points and assists at -127. Again, if you want to get these picks right when Proppy puts them out, or Mike McClure, or anybody in the SportsLine universe, it's real easy. Go to sportsline.com/join, type in winners in the promo code, and you'll get 60% off the annual plan. Again, sportsline.com/join, or you can just scan that QR code if you're watching us on the YouTube. And by the way, if you are, hit the like button. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to more picks. We really got to pick up the pace. You know why? We have so many picks today, so many conference tournaments to cover. And Danny, you were on the show yesterday. You gave out a couple of picks, and you promised you'd have a few more picks today on the BPE show. What you got today?
UFC 299 out of Miami. Sia, I'm going to give main card picks here. Yesterday was prelims. Let's head into the main card, and no time to waste. Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon Chito Vera, second time to settle the score. Give me the Sugar Show to continue as bantamweight champion. I'm going to give you two different wagers, and my advice is to place the same amount on both. I'm going to go Sean O'Malley by knockout at +250 to be the first person to ever finish Marlon Vera, and also Sean O'Malley by decision at +125. You place the same wager on both. Either method he gets it done, we're profiting, and we can root for the knockout. I know Vera is one of the most durable guys in MMA history, perhaps, and he beat Sean O'Malley in his first time around with a perfect calf kick that shut down his leg and injured him. Sean O'Malley calls it a loss. It was legitimate, though, but we know Vera is durable because he's hittable. I think O'Malley is the perfect type of striker to piece him up. Vera likes to move forward with that high guard, staying firm up, but O'Malley's sharp with his punches. I think he loops through that guard, tags Vera up for the duration of the fight, and if Vera's able to stand up to the punches, he'll lose by decision, or maybe O'Malley is the first one to put him away. Moving on. I like Michael Venom Page to win in his UFC debut, an electrifying striker coming in from Bellator, and he's facing a great dance partner in Kevin Holland, who I think will give him the dance that he needs. Both guys long, rangy strikers who like to explode in their emotions, fire shots halfway across the cage. I think Venom Page, who's a showman, even more so than Kevin Holland. Make sure you have your volume up for this fight, guys, because they'll be talking smack to each other. I think he wins with the bigger moments, the showmanship, and his use of the kicks at range are a key factor against Holland here. Give me Michael Venom Page to edge out a close decision, I believe. And finally, I think there are people that will disagree with me in the chat. So I'm going to have a showdown, I believe, Jake. Heads up for that one. I like Song Yadong on the money line, +105. I've heard a lot of Yan backers, his opponent Peter Yan, almost zero Song Yadong backers. And look how close this line is to a pick 'em. A bit curious. Yan head kick knocked out Uriah Faber, Song Yadong's coach many years ago. Song has been growing up in this octagon and is well coached. I believe he'll have a game plan to overwhelm, blitz the slow starter Yan, pick up the early rounds, and try to overwhelm him with pressure to get it done. Gipper's Picks, friend of the show, is in the chat. He disagrees with me. Snake, you know what we have to do. Play the music, my friend. It's gonna be a
showdown. Danny wastes no time. He just springs the showdown on us. I absolutely love that. It was clearly accepted in the chat. So listen, we got a showdown on our hands, and we got a lot of picks. If you didn't see Danny's picks from yesterday, well, good news. It's in your feed. It's in your YouTube feed or your podcast feed. So check out those. Obviously you can check out the recap screen there too. Danny loved the picks. And speaking of picks, we've got a lot. Okay, so Big Cheesy's got High Point minus 11.5. I know a lot of people like High Point. I think they might even be 10.5 in some circles. I don't mind that play at all. There's a lot of picks, including Chris Kish, who has a pick in the chat as well. But Buckets, Chris Kish, he's a soccer guy among other sports. You've got a couple of soccer picks today, and you have the floor.
See, I'm going to do the kind of thing in the Svein Bundesliga that is going to either make me look like a genius or an absolute idiot, and I'm not sure which one we're going to be, but let's do our best here. I'm looking at the matchup between Fortuna Düsseldorf taking on Hamburg SV, and when you're looking at the second Bundesliga right now, it is so incredibly tight for promotion. From second place to 10th place, there are only 10 points separating these clubs, which means everybody is fighting for their lives in this final third of the season. But I'm looking at a Dusseldorf side that has the most goals scored in Germany, taking on a Hamburg side that has the third most goals scored in the second Bundesliga. And I'm looking at two teams that play absolutely no defense whatsoever. I have two bets. It's the exact same bet on both teams for this one. I'm taking Dusseldorf over 1.5 team total at minus 110. And I'm also taking Hamburg over 1.5 team total at plus 105. This is the kind of matchup to me that could end up seeing 4, 5, 6 goals, because as soon as that first goal happens, with points being so important at the stage for two attack-heavy teams, this game is going to go off the rails. We just want that first goal to happen in the first 30 minutes, and this is a game that I think could see both of these teams eclipse a 2, maybe even 3 goals in this one, Sia.
Absolutely love it. A lot of people love it. And Chris Kish says, Buckets had an insane day yesterday. Well done, sir. And I think it's been an insane week for Buckets. Love all the picks. And I know in chat, not chat. I was going to say chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but Buckets, you're here. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a great week for you, right?
It has been. Yesterday, and I'm jinxing myself, of course, here. Yesterday was the best betting day of my betting career. I've never had a day like yesterday before. So that was a ton of fun with Europa and Conference League.
And Adam Fry has a question for you, Buckets. He says, how are we feeling about both teams to score in the Barcelona game at minus 105?
You could not pay me to bet on Barcelona right now. I do think BTTS is a good look, but remember, Barcelona still has that Napoli second leg coming up, and Barcelona is really struggling to find consistency against a Mallorca side that would have no problem getting a 0-0 draw out of this one.
All right. And by the way, the Maestro is in the chat too. We have some superstars in the chat, so if you have questions for them, and of course, Mackenzie Brooks is going to have her show at 1 o'clock inside the line. So you guys can tune in for all the picks there too. But we've got a lot of superstars in the chat. Ask away. And you might want to ask me about golf picks, because not all the golf picks are at all the books. Not all the same golf picks are at all the books. I'll tell you this. We don't consult about picks before the show. And I found out right before the show that Mike McClure was on a pick that I love. So I have 2 picks here, but one of them, and I won't go into it too much, Will Zalatoris minus 120 over Min Woo Lee. First of all, Min Woo Lee hasn't had a ton of success on this course, but I love the angle that Mike took in terms of the putter. We saw Will Zalatoris struggle early, but really regain the form that we knew he was going to have here, because the last 2 tournaments, this guy has been on fire, particularly with the ball striking. That's going to serve him really well here. Min Woo Lee, he can get it out there far, but I think he's going to find some trouble in the rough. And honestly, his approach play isn't that great. Certainly not as good as Will Zalatoris over the last few weeks. So give me Will Zalatoris minus 120 over Min Woo Lee. This is a curious line to me. I understand Min Woo Lee's been playing really, really well, and we haven't seen a huge sample size from Will Zalatoris in terms of regaining the play after the back injury. But I honestly think this one should be minus 140, maybe even minus 145. So give me Will all day here. Speaking of minus 140, this one's a little juicy, just like the Steven Yeager was yesterday that I lost, and it's because Steven Yeager apparently can't make 5-foot putts. But Keegan Bradley minus 140 over Justin Rose. Speaking of not making things, Justin Rose, he's just not been very good. It's been about 5 tournaments in a row where he's been losing pretty much across the board in the ball striking department. He's picked it up with the short game, and honestly, that'll serve him well here. But Keegan Bradley is really good on this course historically. He was okay yesterday. The metrics were fine. Same with Justin Rose. Justin Rose did most of his damage with the short game, with the around the green game specifically. There's a lot of variance there. I trust Keegan Bradley's ball striking over Justin Rose, and I trust his course history. He's been excellent here the past 3 times at Bay Hill. So minus 140, it's a little pricey, but Justin Rose just isn't in form, and I really like what Keegan does on this course. So those are my 2 picks. Will Zalatoris over Min Woo Lee, Keegan Bradley over Justin Rose. If you don't have that matchup and you want to message me, I try to respond to all messages. Usually I get them within like 30, 40 minutes of this show. Feel free to hit me up, and I'll try to get back to everybody. All right. We've got college basketball to talk about. A lot of people have been repping out Belmont, Chip, in the chat. And a lot of people, by the way, repping out High Point as well. Japan looks like, is it Radford that he likes at plus 12.5? Either way, you've got 2 picks, and one of them actually includes this popular team in the chat, Belmont. Talk to us about your 2 plays.
Yeah, we're going to start with the Belmont Bruins. We're going to lay the short number against Northern Iowa. This is a point where I've told you about sorting the data, where I think small sample size or smallish sample size can tell you a little bit about form. And while the Missouri Valley Conference has, Indiana State with Larry Nerd, aka Steph Blurry, Robbie Avila, it's got Drake, it's got Bradley. If you look from February 1st to today, the team with the best efficiency numbers actually is the Belmont Bruins. So why is that? Let's dig in. Well, it's because point guard Jacoby Gillespie missed 8 games in the middle of the season. 5 of their conference losses came during those 8 games. He comes back. He's one of the big facilitators of this offense that moves the ball around, plays with a lot of tempo, shoots a lot of threes. I think the Bruins' recent form helps them take down Northern Iowa in this game. They split the season series, but the loss had no Gillespie. His addition is the big reason here. So we take Belmont. That is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you lock it in. All right. Then we're going to go all the way to CBS Sports Network for... That's right, CBS Sports Network for the regular season finale between Toledo and Kent State. And my friend Joe Giglio has a saying where the standard is the standard. 1, 2, 3 consecutive regular season titles for the Rockets. And I think they lock up number 4 and the number 1 seed in the tournament here. That this is a team that nearly lost the plot. They've regained their form, thumped Miami by 34 points last time out. I think their focus is on it. And Kent State has just been going the wrong way pretty fast. So I'll take Toledo and I'll lay the 7.5.
All right, we're going to lay the 7.5. We're going to take Belmont. Absolutely love both those picks. I think I might be on Belmont as well. And I think Maestro was in the chat talking about that as well. Mike McClure, you might have something to say about these games.
Yeah, so like you said, Sia, we don't consult at all before. I sent my pick in, went out, took Chief out, didn't see that you were on the same pick in the email thread. When I was going to potentially change it, I was adding Belmont -1. So I make the number 3.5 in this game, just full disclosure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely love that. Okay. We definitely have some leans, some official plays. And by the way, Big Cheesy, thank you for buying my wife's books. He points out he has a 5-year-old daughter, and he bought Penny Patel Gets a Puppy, and Penny Patel Makes a Pizza for his daughter. That's really cool. I appreciate the support there. And then before we get to the recap screen, a couple of questions about the Lowry-Aubert matchup, otherwise known as Ludwig Aberg. I don't love it. So I don't love it either way. I would normally say Aubert, I would ignore the stats from yesterday normally, but Shane Lowry, he's just such a conundrum. I don't know when he's going to bring it and when he's going to get frustrated and not bring it. Lowry's plus 120. If I was going to lean anyway, it would probably be towards Lowry. Maybe you fade him later on in the tournament, but that is an absolute stay away for me. I'm not taking Aubert. His strokes game metrics yesterday weren't very good. He only gained with the putter. He can absolutely rebound, but the way Shane Lowry's playing, this is a classic stay away where you just don't know what to expect from either of them. Buckets, go ahead.
Got a real quick question in the chat there. Nathan asked, what are my thoughts on Napoli taking on Torino today in Serie A? And I just want to say real quick, I am all about the Napoli is back train. They have looked so good as they beat Sassuolo 6-1 and they beat Juventus 2-1 last week. So Napoli money line, team total, Victor Osimhen shot, Victor Osimhen goal. Take everything Napoli today at home.
All right, take everything Napoli today at home. So many picks in the chat. By the way, if you want another golf pick that was a lean for me, Nick Taylor was -105 against Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka, the slight favorite at -115. That was another one I was considering. I couldn't get there, but it certainly was a lean. All right, we have official plays to go over though, right? Let's look at the recap screen. Wow, that's a lot. Sean O'Malley by KO. Sean O'Malley by decision. This is all plus money, folks. Michael Vernon, Page, money line, another plus money play. And we round it out with the 4th plus money play, Song Yadong money line at plus 105. Love all the plus money there. Will Zalatoris over Minwoo Lee. Mike McClure and I share that one. And then I've added Keegan Bradley at -140 over Justin Rose. Buckets, Dusseldorf, team total over 1.5, and Hamburg, team total over 1.5. Chip Patterson, Belmont with the chat and with Mike McClure, -1. Toledo, -7.5. 2 SportsLine picks courtesy of the Star. Prop stars, Deontay Murray under 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And Zion Williamson over 26.5 points and assists. Make sure you are a SportsLine member so you get Mike McClure's picks right away, Chip Patterson's picks right away, Buckets, Danny Brasco, and of course, Prop Stars and the rest of the crew. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do some conference tournament stuff. We're going to pick out some winners, some futures with 3 conference tournaments that are about to start. So I have to say goodbye to Buckets, to Danny Brasco, and I'll stick with Chip and Mike McClure. Ladies and gentlemen, you can say goodbye to them, but hello to some conference tournament futures right after this break.
The blackout mystery remains.
Welcome to March Madness. Oh! You just never know in the tournament who is going to shine.
Stream March Madness live on any device, anywhere, and be ready for anything.
Welcome back to the Early Edge, presented by BetMGM, and we've got Chip Patterson, we've got Mike McClure, and we've got CAA odds. We've got SoCon odds, Southern Conference, and then, of course, we've got Summit League odds. We're going to start with the CAA, and Mike McClure, I'm going to start with you here. Charleston leads the way at plus 210. Then we got UNC, Wilmington, Hofstra, Drexel, all seem like they're in the conversation at plus 300 or so odds. What do you like in the CAA?
Yeah, this one's kind of fascinating. See a lot of parity here. The top 4 teams definitely very close and competitive when they get together. I'm going to look at Hofstra here for my play. There's a couple things that I like about this Hofstra team. Number one, they shoot a ton of threes, but they actually knock down a ton of threes. That I like in this format. They're never really out of games if they fall behind because of their three-point shooting ability and their discipline on the defensive end. One of the better teams in terms of defensive free throw rate. Those two combination of things really helps them at least remain competitive in a lot of games that they're going to play here. So I agree that they shouldn't be the favorite all the way up to where Charleston is. I'll take a little shot here on Hofstra.
All right, Big Cheesy agrees on Hofstra. Nathan Pike says Blue Hens, Delaware, plus 1,400, I believe there. Nathan Pike. Chip Patterson, what say you?
All right, so Charleston, they go 9-10 deep in their rotation. They shoot a bunch of threes. Hockey line changes out there, a worthy favorite. But give me Takeo Siddle and UNC Wilmington. Look, this is a group that needed the break. They needed the double bye. Their legs were starting to get worn down. They had some nagging injuries, and I think that they will show up to DC refreshed. Remember, this is a group in UNC Wilmington that went into Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky. Their ceiling is that high. Also, I think that their offense is set up in a way that can give Charleston some problems. Charleston's not a great defensive team. Either one of those, I think at the top, you obviously have good options, but put me with the Seahawks from Wilmington.
The Seahawks. It reminds me of football season. How many Sundays away? We need Dave Richard for that. All right, let's go to the Southern Conference, the SoCon. Let's pull up those odds. And Mike, I'm going to go right back to you. We got Samford at plus 150. And then we have a bit of a drop off. UNC Greensboro plus 425, Western Carolina at plus 500, and so on from there. It looks like conceivably, just from an odds standpoint, a few teams in the mix here. What say you?
Yeah, this one is interesting to me. I'm going straight chalk here with Samford. I actually have betting value on this one, which is rare to have a lot of betting value on the favorite. But I think this number should be closer to 48, 49%, around plus 104, plus 110 would be a fair price point. So the Samford team is awesome offensively in this conference. Really good three-point shooting team, really good offensive team in general. When you just look at offensive rating, this team's cracking the top 60 overall in all of college basketball. That's pretty impressive stuff overall. So I think that this is a spot where it looks like it's not the appealing chalk number here in this conference because there are solid teams. Again, that bunch right behind them. They're the 1A, and then the 2 is like all those teams that can give them good competitive games. But to me, I think this is a great spot to back Samford.
All right.
Yeah, they just overwhelm you. I'm right there. Like, don't overthink this. Samford, because they shoot the three so well, because they play so fast, there's just not enough skill in the SoCon that when they start running away, you feel like you're going to be able to come back or overcome a deficit. I mean, it can be really hopeless sometimes when Samford's able to establish these leads. So since I don't have any much more to add, I want to say shout out to John Parker in the chat. I saw your message earlier. Good vibes to you and your family this weekend.
Oh, I am so glad you caught that message because there's so much in the chat. I didn't see that one, but John Parker, we're obviously the whole SportsLine Early Edge and CBS Sports family wishing you super well. I'll go back and check that out. And by the way, Jennifer Luss is in the chat. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, but you say let's go with some exclamation points. And I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. So welcome to the party. Hopefully you've already hit the like button. And before we get to the last conference tournament, I don't want to forget this. Mel, who is familiar to me in the chat, he says the play of the day is the Avs. Now the Avs host the Minnesota Wild. He says people should be playing them in whatever way possible in regulation, team total over 3.5, whatever at SportsLine. Very interesting. Now they're big favorites. They're minus 218 on the money line again at home against the Minnesota Wild. But like Mel says, maybe you want to figure out a way to include them in whether it's a money line parlay or team total over or something like that. Very interesting. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. And the next thing I'm going to look into though It's the Summit League. It's the Summit Conference. We've got South Dakota State at plus 150, St. Thomas at plus 425. And then, listen, again, 4 or 5 teams that are probably in the conversation, but South Dakota State, clearly the top dog here. Mike McClure, where are we at?
I like St. Thomas here, Sia. I think this is a pretty fair price point on them. South Dakota State, while they are a great team, they're very close to St. Thomas, in my opinion. I think South Dakota State's a school at this time of year actually has a little name value when you're talking about this conference in general, just their athletic programs overall. So I like St. Thomas here. I think that they're a team that plays a lot slower. They play a controlled half-court game, but they're still very efficient offensively. Personally, I think it's between these top 2 teams here, but I think the value is with St. Thomas as I make these numbers a lot closer together than this.
Yeah, since we've gotten into conference play in the Summit League, just looking at Summit on Summit competition, it is actually St. Thomas, not South Dakota State, that has the most efficient offensive numbers. This is also, like you say, name value. This ain't the old South Dakota State. Like Baylor Shireman, who had the Jackrabbits in as like a trendy pick in the NCAA tournament, that group went 18-0 in conference play. This group is not anywhere close to that. They went 12-4 in conference play. So you think that it's going to be this like high level potential Cinderella. I don't see that at all. So maybe you've got some value. I would definitely say don't take South Dakota State. Not good value. I agree with St. Thomas as the play.
I love the number, plus 425. We'll take the value on St. Thomas. And by the way, speaking of conference tournaments and speaking of brackets, I mean, we're right around the corner, right? Just so you know, because it's officially March and because that means madness, remember to join the Early Edge Bracket Challenge. Winner will receive a 12-month subscription to SportsLine. Link is in the description of the show. See terms for details. Again, the link for this is in the description of the show. We'll do some more promoing of it, but you may as well sign up right now and get it out of the way so you have less to do when the selection show comes out and when those brackets come out. Again, that's our bracket challenge, courtesy of SportsLine, courtesy of the Early Edge. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be our show. What a completely packed show. We brought it in so many different ways, but more importantly, the chat brought it in so many different ways. So ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have an amazing Friday. On behalf of Jake the Snake, doing all of this behind the scenes, which is actually kind of amazing when you think about it. Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s. Mike McClure, Chip Patterson, buckets. And then, of course, Danny Brasco with all the UFC 299 talk and bets. And don't forget, Maestro in the chat, Prop Stars in the chat, Mackenzie Brooks in the chat, and all of them in the SportsLine universe giving you picks on SportsLine outside of the Early Edge. Let's have a great and positive Friday, everybody. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as The Counselor. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.